Hey, it's Dr. Charles here, aka CoachMD, coming to you live, Facebook Live, on this magical Monday broadcast. And for those of you who are keeping track, you may have missed me last week. I was away. I had a lot of thoughts that I'd like to share with you in this broadcast about that. But also, for those of you who don't know me, I am a medical doctor, but I am a doctor who believes and practices what I believe is true holistic care. And that means care in balance of mind, body, and spirit. And I'm a doctor who really feels that much of our physical pain is directly related to our emotional pain. And I'd like to do these broadcasts because Monday, for so many people, is a very stressful, very hard day. At the beginning of the week, the unknown. And it's hard for us. I was talking with a good friend of mine yesterday who retired. And she was saying, and I actually, she didn't say, I said, let me guess what the most enjoyable day of the week is for you in retirement. It's Monday, right? And she, of course, agreed so that's why I like to start the week off on a positive footing. And it's good for me also because I experience Monday also in a way that is unknown. And so I like to do this. It's fun for me to share with you. What I like to, for those of you who don't know me, who haven't listened before, I do a lot of work, less medical, mostly dealing with a kind of a motivational way to get you to look at life in a way that doesn't create a danger for you. It is more peaceful. But I'd like to hear from you. I'd like to know what are the challenges that you're having that you'd like me, Dr. Charles, CoachMD, to maybe address in my quotes or some of the work that I do and the writing that I do and the broadcast. Many of us face different challenges in life. And for me, I've identified three that I think are the greatest challenges in my personal professional career. I've identified these things. So maybe you can list, as you're watching this broadcast, those challenges that are affecting you, but just list one. Is it maybe a financial challenges? Are they relationship challenges? Are they health challenges? And it could be physical health, but mind you, as a doctor, there's so many resources out there that you can find comments on your physical health, whether it's alternative care or health or whether it's conventional. There's so much on health out there. There's very little about how the emotions affect that health. So even if you do put health as the major challenge that you have, you may find that me as CoachMD is addressing less of the physical, which a lot of times serves as a distraction for that emotional pain. You'll find me dealing more with that emotional pain, and it might annoy you a little bit, but it's really, as I've seen in my personal and professional life, it's oftentimes the source of what's actually ailing you physically. So what do I want to talk to you about today? And some of the things I was thinking about while I was away is how often it is that when we're trying to go on in life and we're trying to move forward, that we look at others around us and we formulate a story, a fake story in our brains that somehow they've achieved those things that we haven't achieved, or that their life is somehow more satisfactory or more happy or successful than our lives. And it gives us a sense of not feeling well. It removes us from our strengths. It takes away our ability to see clearly our God-given gifts, talents, skills. When we project onto others our stories and create those stories and then internalize them, it makes us not see clearly our own gifts. And when we're moving forward, taking those steps in our week, starting on Monday, I'm going to give you the charge, or put you in charge, or give you the prescription to be aware of those times when you are looking at others and kind of judging and formulating a story. And it could be just a fleeting thought that you get that starts to germinate that story. But be very conscious of when that happens. Now, how could I talk about this? Do I talk about it in a vacuum as though it's never happened to me? Well, on the contrary, it happens to me all the time. But what I don't do with these fake stories is I don't believe, trust, or take direction from them consistently. I'll get the thought. Nothing really can stop that thought because it is a primitive reaction to help us protect us from those people who might hurt us. But it's up to us not to believe, trust, or take direction from them, which germinates it and makes that fake story become a novel. Okay, because it is a novel. It's fake. It's not real. And that happened to me on the break where we were visiting our daughters, and they, we took a tour of this mansion, of this unbelievable. It was donated by his family as a historical site, whatever. But the wealth that this guy had was unbelievable. And he achieved that wealth at younger ages than I am. And he, at the same age as me, my brain started going on and starting to figure out the numbers and whatever. And I didn't go there. I stopped it. How did I stop it? By not believing, trusting, or taking direction that it actually was telling me something about myself. So I'd like to share with you a poem that was written, I think, around 1900. And this poem is called Richard Quarry by Edwin Arlington Robinson. And actually, Simon and Garfunkel did an unbelievable song to this poem. I actually like the song better, but I'm not going to sing it for you, and that's why I've elected to read you the actual poem, and I've saved you. Believe me, I've spared you that rendition. But you might want to Google that at some point. Simon and Garfunkel, Richard Quarry. It's really beautiful, and I'll try to read this without tearing up because it's very profound. Richard Quarry by Edwin Arlington Robinson. Whenever Richard Quarry went downtown, we people on the pavement looked at him. He was a gentleman from soul to crown, clean-favored and imperially slim, and he was always quietly arrayed. And he was always human when he talked, but still he fluttered pulses when he said, "Good morning," and he glittered when he walked. And he was rich, yes, richer than a king, and admirably schooled in every grace. In fine, we thought he was everything, to make us wish that we were in his place. So on we worked and waited for the light, and went without the meat, and cursed the bread. And Richard Quarry, one calm summer night, went home and put a bullet through his head. See, folks, things aren't as they seem. And when we create these stories about other people, and we elevate them and elevate their lives and their experiences as though they are something so great and so much to be envied and so much to be desired, it blocks us from the recognition of really the things that we have. And while I was walking through that mansion, I realized that what neutralizes, and you may have seen this in a quote that I posted yesterday, what neutralizes those things, what neutralizes the power and what allows us not to believe, trust, or take direction from when our brain takes us to those places is truly gratitude for the things that we have and not projecting a desire for the things that we don't have, thinking that they are going to replace in us something that's going to elevate us to a different life, a better life. Because as you can see with Richard Quarry, he obviously wasn't grateful for what he had, because something caused him to fight or flee, to really flee. Suicide is the ultimate flight. And to me, it's one of the saddest reactions of our primitive nature, our automatic brain, which causes us to fight or flee danger, perceived danger. And to think that you have no other alternative to deal with that danger, it becomes that great. And we all have the tendency, because that's the human condition. to project and to look at others. And it creates that envy, and it creates us creating these fake stories about them. And it prevents us from enjoying and being grateful for the things that we have and not desiring for those that we don't have. And as I was, my wife and I, we got the audio tour. We upgraded for $5 and got the audio tour. So we had this kind of telephone that we listened to as we went from room to room. And what we gleaned from that experience and the story of this gentleman whose name was Paul Deering, Paul Deering. He was a wealthy man in the turn of this 19th century, 20th century, and listening and how he felt that he needed things, more and more things. And it wasn't about it was about him pleasing his guests and him looking to being viewed by others as being sophisticated, as being European sophistication, because he went to Europe to get most of those things. And it was a recurring theme in the tour that we took, was that he needed to acquire these things. And he wasn't grateful for the blessings that he had of being born into a family that set up him in a business that was very lucrative. And there were so many things that he had to be grateful for. But he ended up dying at a very early age, lonely. He had nobody. And it was very sad to me. As glamorous and as glorious as this palace, because it was kind of a little ostentatious. It was a palace, but it was beautiful on the bay and beautiful gardens. But his drive was all about projection and creating a fake story in his brain about what others would want from him and how he looked to others. So not only are you projecting to others and thinking that maybe what they have you might want, guess what? The mirror is you're looking in a mirror because they're having similar thoughts. They're having similar, and you may not believe it, you may not think it, but guess what? If you saw yourself across the street, you would see that person and you would wonder what that person had. You may even envy that person who is you. And so that's something that you need to tell yourself. As you walk by, as you walk through, as you start your week, those are those are some of the ideas I want you to keep in mind to be able to turn it back to you. Be grateful for your gifts and talents and skills. They are there. They've been gifted to you by a higher source. And they are there. And they are screaming at you to recognize them. And the only way for you to recognize them is to not believe, trust, or take direction that somebody else's is better than yours. So that's your goal, your prescription for this week from CoachMD. As I said before, let me know if there are particular challenges. Just one. I want, just for one, money, health, or relationships. That's just a starter. Those are just the starter. There may be others, but those are big three to kind of get you thinking. But I am so grateful and blessed that you've taken the time to hear what I have to share. I'd be very grateful if you continue to do so and share if you feel this is beneficial for you. Let others know about it if you feel it's helpful. But my plan is to every Monday to do the Facebook Live broadcast, Magical Mondays, because as I have said, there is so much power in recognizing those daily magical coincidences, you may call them, and those are enough to empower you to know that there's something greater at hand, greater than ourselves. So until next week, I'm Dr. Charles, aka CoachMD. Thanks for joining me. I love you, and God bless you. Bye for now.